Hello, I'm Derek Smalls, and you're watching, or listening, or both, to Rock Shop Live with Eric Broadbent. He's the Bent Broad.
You're watching Rock Shop Live, brought to you by Stewart Travel Guitars. See the incredible stowaway travel guitar at stewartguitars.com. Microphones for Rock Shop Live are provided by Rode Microphones. Now, for Music Gear Network, here's your host, guitarist Eric Broadbent.
Hey everyone, happy stay-at-home Friday to you all. Welcome to another edition of the Rock Shop. We are live, and a while back we had the wonderful opportunity of watching the closing of one of the greatest TV shows on television right now, Better Call Saul. Season 5 wrapped up, and just shortly after that, we had one of the actors over on the show. We had a good actor, Patrick Fabian, who plays Howard Hamlin, and now we've got one of his cohorts and one of the main stars right next to Bob Odenkirk himself, Rhea Seehorn, that plays Kim Wexler. Ray, how are you?
I'm great, thanks. I mean, I'm taking it day by day. I fear saying I'm great when I'm aware of like how much the world is upside down. We're in a global nightmare, and there are people suffering that I'm trying to figure out how we can help everybody. But yeah, I'm taking it day by day and doing pretty good.
Good. Well, that's good to hear, and that is the thing, day by day. And I think we're appreciating things a lot more as well too. And that's something that Patrick was saying to us on the show. He was saying that, right around this time, or actually it was coming up soon, probably another month or two, you guys were getting ready to get back into the driver's seat and start filming. And that's been put on hold. I'm sure you're probably looking forward to, when it's safe, of course, but I'm sure you're looking forward to getting out there and getting going on number 6.
Yeah, we don't have, there's no official delay to our shooting. Our writing team, writer's room is converging via different I can't even figure out all the names at this point. It's like Zoom, Squad, Chowder Cloud Chat. I don't know, but they're on something and trying to write, which I know is difficult, but thank God we have any way to, virtually talk to each other right now. And so far they're still trying to shoot. I think it was fall, but safety's first priority for them, as it is for most people trying to go into production. It was interesting. I listened to Gavin Newsom's live town hall talking to different sectors of the community in Los Angeles, retail people, but then he was talking to people in our industry, entertainment industry, because it's just, they're very specific needs that are going on, like with what we can't social distance and go back to work.
Right.
We just can't. I have to touch props that 150 people touched before I got there. I have to be close to my scene partners. Even talking to my writers, how do I get makeup and hair done? How do I wear a mask after the makeup's done, which would make marks, and then go talk to someone? And I know these sound maybe trivial, and they are if we're talking about life or death, but life or death is also getting back to work. So the entertainment industry is trying to figure out how do you do that with such a social art form?
Yeah, scenes alone. Obviously you said it with props, but there's a lot of intimate scenes where the gatherings. Whether it's hugs or kisses or you're just at a dinner table, it could be anything, right? So I would assume that it might have to be until maybe there's vaccines commonly, out there for everyone, I guess.
That, or, maybe, fingers crossed, there's like an antibody test, or is there a way to, I know there was just news that came out today saying the chances you're going to get it from surface contact from an actual object are pretty low. So, hey, that's great, because I touch 1,000 props all day. And then trying to figure out, can you put people in masks and then test just Bob and I, or whoever's in the scene, and then only the two of us are 6 feet close to each other, and my makeup and hair people maybe. We'll see. We'll do it. We'll all get through this together, the whole world, and then the entertainment industry. And I'm so invigorated by and inspired by the creative ingenuity that's coming from all different departments, not just in my business, but in music, in retail, restaurant stuff, the adaptation that's happening to try to find a way to thrive, I hope will actually be a benefit in the end, to find new ways. I mean, the things that I've done audio wise and talking about binaural audio, so that you can do theater where you feel like somebody's walking around you, and music, concerts. I mean, listen, we all want to be in an audience and seeing a live show again. I want to be in a theater audience. My husband wants to be in a sports audience. I want to be in a set of 350 people shooting Saul, where I can hug every single one of them every morning, like I try to. So how do we do that? I don't know. A friend of mine is inherently a problem solver. A very good close friend of mine I was talking to recently, and he said, I'm of course sad that people are in despair right now, but for problem solvers, this is a little bit of like he's like, every day I'm trying to think of how do you get around that obstacle? How do you get around that obstacle? What can you do differently with this? Is there a way to create art that does this? Is there a way to deliver food in a safe way? Is there a way for a restaurant to cater to this and not that? We'll get there. Sorry, I'm talking in circles because I just feel like I'm talking to a lot of people who work in a lot of different sectors of the economy. And I'm grateful that I'm not standing in a food bank line, and I'm hyper aware of having the luxury to problem solve today about how we should do this interview.
Yeah.
Is a great luxury. So if you've got, to all of your viewers, if you have $1, $5, if you have anything this month spare of paying your rent and your mortgage and your food, food banks.
Yes.
Food banks and community help stuff, because that's immediate. Figuring out how I go back to work in a couple of months, that is nothing like figuring out how to eat tonight.
I know, that's
nothing.
very, very well said. I know you've done a lot of charity things, a lot of these, at-home interviews. I know you and Bob did some things, and for charity as well. We did one last week as well, too, on Friday. It was kind of a concert from home, and I think the total somewhere right now is around 30. A small Canada town, but about $3,800 went to the local food bank. So that's awesome. That's some nice donations, and the community got together and collected food. We put some food out on our porch, non-perishables and things like that. And the community really came together. Like, they ended up getting an abandoned store, or a store that's not abandoned, but I mean a store that's not vacant at the moment, or no one's in the store. And they put all the storage in there, and it was to the walls with, like, to the ceiling with food. So when you need people to come together, they really do.
I love that.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
We'll go over and say hi real quick to some bunch of people in the chat. We won't get a chance to say hi to everybody tonight, but I'll try my best to say hi to a few. Mr. Blue Jay, Turquoise.
Let's do every single one.
Okay. Leon Games is here. Lots of Kim fans, that's for sure, and obviously fans of your entire career. Race Grooves is here. Landshark Mark, that's one of our good friends. He loves you. He loves your character, loves the show. And my beautiful better half, Sandra Lee, will be sharing links, some of your social links tonight throughout the program as well, too. Chris Jack online is here. J-Bod. Sometimes I get these names wrong. Our beautiful Ladybug is here too. A six-string Brian, friend of mine here in Canada. The party line, that's Sandra. She's here. Making sure the chat runs nice and smooth as well too. Takes a lot of pressure off of me. AZ is here from Chandler, Arizona. Let me see, who else have I missed here? Justin Oliver. She makes the show. She certainly does. And even Bob says that. I mean, so that says a lot. Jim Dale's another friend of mine here from London, Ontario, Canada, jumping in. Monsieur Palm is here. Talking about season 6 being delayed. Of course, we're a little bit delayed. Probably not too long if it all goes well, but fingers crossed. Griffin Guitar is here. Let me see here. Franz Liszt, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Ed B.
Franz Liszt? Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
The dead composer is here. That's fascinating.
Yeah. The technology, right? Yeah. We told you we bring some surprises tonight. Gui Porto. Caitlin is here. Blazy Gardner. Kitty Pom Pom. Emily, I can't see your last name, Emily. I'm so sorry. I can't pronounce it. Sonia is here. Alec Bourne. Boy, we have a great list. Rob Grodin. Arabella SM. Love you, Ray. You deserve an Emmy. Hugs from Italy. And you certainly do. Let me see here. I think I might have got everybody. And if I did miss anyone, please forgive me. It's not out of slight. I just happened to miss it. I'm horrible that way. But I want to segue for a second.
I heard a lot of very, very passionate Better Call Saul fans in that list. That's lovely.
They are. And it's funny how you and I were talking off the air, on Twitter, you were saying tonight, I don't know anything about music gear, but it's so funny, as you told me, how many musicians are really into Better Call Saul.
Yes. Yeah. Our show is very Aural. Is it Aural? I think that would be the right definition of this. And, you have Dave Porter composing these absolutely beautiful, sometimes spare and despairingly spare soundtracks going through, and Thomas Golubic doing really creative, inventive work with needle drops that, not so long ago were just about selling a CD, and he's really reinventing that as well. And then you have Phil Palmer doing incredible sound mixing, and our boom mic operators, lav mic people. I was telling to the viewers, I was telling Eric earlier, I've never done less ADR for a show in my life, and I'm in a desert sometimes speaking directly into a wind and sandstorm. And Phil and his team are incredible at mixing that and figuring that out. And then we have Catherine Madsen and Mike Khalifa back in post doing all these edits. You have the sound editing, and you have our camera editors or visual editors, I guess. I'm going to get that wrong. The ACE, Chris McCaleb's and the Skip McDonald's, and earlier on, Kelly Dixon. And it is a very Aural experience. It is absolutely a part of the show as much as this scenic montage, this other character that's Albuquerque. There's also this other character that's the Aural experience. And we do have a lot of sound tech people and a lot of musicians that talk to us about the use of music, the use of sound, and the use of sound editing on it. And that is not something that I'm aware of when I'm shooting, except now, 5 years in, I can look at Phil and I go, can you even hear me? And he's like, I got you. And I implicitly trust him at this point. But everything else is sort of this beautiful, I know this saying is not profound because so many people have said it before me, but the show really is made 3 times. It's made in the written form, and then it's made when you produce it and perform it, and then it's made again in post. And I think our sound team is like, if we still had Battle of the Network stars and it was about like ingenuity and talent, I would put our sound team up there. I would put them right up there against the Real People. Weren't they always a team?
Yeah. Well, it certainly is an amazing team. And Bryan Cranston over, obviously the Walter White that we all love and hate over on the Breaking Bad world, he said too that Dave's soundtrack is a character in itself, and certainly is worthy of everyone that's on that screen, and he knows when to paint a musical landscape and when not to, and that takes real talent, and that's a sign of a good musician for sure. But we're going to jump over for a kind of a sidestep, obviously, to another AMC property as well too. But Walking Dead, something a lot of fans probably watching this tonight are Walking Dead fans, and I'm a diehard fan. And even it had a bit of a setback with the situation we're all under right now. The season 10 we didn't get our finale, right? So the finale was postponed until October or something like that, because some of the guys and the guys and girls in the editing room, they couldn't be together to finish that up. And I'd probably working from home. Not everybody has the editing suites that I'm sure that they have, headquarters. So that was postponed. But what my question was going to ask you, a lot of actors that I was really surprised to know this. And I think Andrew Lincoln, who plays Rick played Rick on The Walking Dead, he was noted as not watching back a lot of his scenes. Like he didn't even see a lot of the shows. Now, and some actors are like that. Now, yourself, do you watch your scenes back? And if so, what were your thoughts on the finale that we just had?
And I loved Walking Dead too, and Fear the Walking Dead. I just got to do At Home with the Morgans at night. I'm going to get the title.
I saw.
I don't know titles. I don't know titles of any song, any album, or any film.
That's okay. I saw. I didn't see the whole thing, but I saw that you did that.
Friday Night In with the Morgans.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
And he's badass, isn't he?
So great.
Jeffrey.
And so is Hillary, his wife. What a badass. Yeah, had a blast. So I'm sorry that the finale is delayed. I'm not caught up, so I don't feel as I don't have the tragic feeling that many of you guys do that are caught up. But at any rate, with my show, I watch it twice.
Okay.
I watch it live when it airs. I just like the excitement coming from theater. For me, there's something, I feel a little bit of that like curtain up and the whole audience is watching it at the same time when I watch it live. And I love that feeling. But then I cringe so much at watching my big stupid face and all the mistakes I made that I can't pay attention. I can watch everyone else's scenes. So then I watch it the second time 2 or 3 days or sometimes even a week later. And I watch them both with my husband because I don't tell him anything about the show. So it's really fun watching him
get the
freak
reaction.
out and not know. He has no idea. No, the car crash, he leapt out of the couch. So that's exciting. I watch it twice and I learn from it. I completely respect actors who don't want to watch themselves. I would never watch dailies. Some people want to see dailies or even watch playback immediately after a take and go around to Video Village. Anything that helps your process, I'm all for. Me personally, if it was in the moment, it would get so in my head of being aware of, wow, my neck looks really bad when I'm doing that scene, talking to him in the bathtub. And I don't want to care about that.
Right.
I just really want to be available to Bob in that bathtub scene. And I want to be honest and I want to hear my director's notes and I want to hear my writer's notes. And I have the vanity that our whole human race has. So I gotta get that out of my head. So I can't watch stuff in real time when we're there, but later I watch it. I always wish I was better. I always wish I could have done that, but done this or that or whatever. But I learned from it. And sometimes it's learning about yourself as an actor that, oh, wow, the take I did with the smallest eye flick actually read the most painful. How interesting. I'm going to keep that in my head next time. And then other times it's watching, oh, wow, Peter Gould chose take 7. And I distinctly remember take 3 and 14 feeling more like, I did it. I felt it. It was so authentic. But I'm watching what he chose. And then I watch the episode and I think to myself, this fits the story arc better.
Oh, yeah. It's
necessary for me to not be a dynamite this way or explode this way or implode this way here because we're gonna plot this and then we're gonna plot that. We're gonna plot that. And I find that stuff fascinating, not belittling. So yeah, I watch it once and I get over my big fat head, and then the second time I enjoy it.
Well, that's very cool, and I agree with you 100% as far as the edit. Like, just because you think the one performance or a second take were better than others, and then when it comes down to the editing, they pick. And you and I were talking off the air about Star Wars, how we both geek out over Star Wars. You got to look up a video over the weekend when you get some time. It's not very long, about 20 minutes long. It's called Star Wars Saved by the Edit. And it goes to show you some of the things that were planned. And, you know, even George Lucas's wife at the time had a lot to do with it, with some of the choices that they made and scrapping scenes that would have been probably pretty good, really good. And then introducing Luke at a time, like he was going to be introduced way too early into the show, and it would have totally destroyed it. So yeah, you know, no matter what the takes are, the guys and
that
girls.
happens.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a huge Star Wars person, and I'm also a huge Foley person. I have always, since I was a small child, been fascinated by Foley.
Yeah.
Remember when Sesame Street would do? Occasionally, they'd have these like documentary, pre-taped footage segments in black and white. One of them was like making crayons. I think I was very fascinated by that one. But one of them was Foley. You know what? This could have been another PBS Child's program. I'm conflating the whole thing. I was like 6 or 7, but it was a Foley studio showing the clip clop and the wood blocks and this whole studio. I thought it was like Narnia, like walking through the armoire. Like I still have such a love of that and dioramas and miniatures, lifelong obsessions. So I was retweeting some fascinating article that was in a trade magazine about some Foley stuff, but you know, very tech Foley, not like like casual reading Foley. And I was like, this is fascinating. Everyone read this. And Max Smith from Skywalker Ranch that does the sound design. I'm going to mess up his titles, but he's for all the Star Wars stuff at Skywalker Ranch. And he wrote me and said that they were big Better Call Saul fans. And it was such a high for me.
That's mind blowing, isn't it? That's mind blowing.
Yeah. That was good.
Not to go off on a Star Wars tangent, but I know you'll appreciate it anyways because we both love it. It certainly wasn't a plan tonight, but I saw also in another. I've been consuming so much Star Wars stuff over the past couple of nights, just watching anything that gets recommended to me, and it's all talking about Foley and sound. There was a scene where in The Rise of the Skywalker where another Rey and Kylo Ren are fighting, and it is basically the remains of the Death Star. You know, it's partly in the ocean, whatever, and you're hearing all this metal creaking, and it just sounds like the end of the world. And the guys from Skywalker there, they went to this abandoned metal building. It looked like some kind of a testing facility, whatever. But it was abandoned and old, out towards the desert. And there's just wind coming in. It's creaking the metal and everything like that. And they probably didn't have to do too much, but they sweetened it, and it just sounded like the end of the world, like you're in a ship that's going to sink or whatever. It was very, very cool to see how that's done.
That's cool.
Yeah.
They should do behind the scenes Foley videos for all those movies.
I know, right? And I love on your show with I almost Thomas. I almost forgot his name for a sec. Sharing all the behind the scenes photos and stuff like that. And because I'm a photographer.
Oh, Tom Schnauz.
Yes.
Yeah, not Thomas Golubik. Yeah,
Tom Schnauz. I love anything I see that's got a field monitor where I can see the camera settings. I just geek out on that. It sounds silly, but I'm watching all these scenes. I have a folder on my computer. I just save them, and I go back and I stare at them, thinking, okay, ISO what, and also I just geek over that.
It's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
I'm not. I wish I had more knowledge and retained knowledge of cameras and lenses, but it's pretty fascinating to be around. The scene where, what episode is that? 9? I think it is 9. That Tom Schnauz wrote and directed. Yeah, it's 9. And Jimmy has gotten up. He's got this PTSD. He wants breakfast, and I'm doing an orange juicer.
Oh, yeah.
And it's affecting him, which, by the way, again, hats off to the sound department for figuring out how to do that sound and hear us or have anything else happening. But Tom had this vision, and then Marshall Adams, our DP, Matt Cradle, Paul Donahue, camera ops, they had to figure out this vision. And at first I thought, is this a diopter? Because you have Bob, and he's in reality and out of reality, in reality and out of reality, right? Back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know if Tom has tweeted an image of this, but Marshall built this incredible camera. I thought they were going to do the diopter, the split lens, to try to do two things in focus. And it would be like maybe the oranges and him. Because I saw these two lenses coming out at the same time. And that's what I thought they were doing. And I thought they were going to do a foreground background thing that also has a mental instability effect when you watch it. And instead, they did a thing where it's two cameras shooting Bob from a fraction different setup at the exact same time.
Okay.
And the effect is just slightly off-putting to the point where your brain can't actually figure out what is so odd.
But you're feeling what he's going through.
It was super cool. Yes, that's what he wanted. It was super cool to watch. And they built that. And they build a lot of those camera things, like when a director comes in, when John Scheiben wanted I'm forgetting the character's name. He's from Breaking Bad, and he helps Jimmy sell the Hummel figurine. It's the first time we see him in Better Call Saul. Forgive me, I'm totally forgetting his name. He's such a great actor.
Why am I forgetting it?
He helps him break into the copier place and steal the Hummel figurine. But John Scheiben, the director, did a thing where with the soda can coming through the vending machine, you're going with the soda can. And that was like a whole camera that had to be built. Likewise, when Jimmy works in the cell phone shop and he starts throwing the tennis ball around, they tried at first to put a camera on it, and it was so disorienting. Marshall said, and they're doing all of these things in prep before we ever shoot a 14 to 16 hour day. They're building these things and trying to see, would this work? Would that work? Would this work? And so I pay attention, when I get to set. And if I'm not working and not trying to memorize something, and not trying to water the beautiful plant that is my family, if I can fly home, then I go watch this stuff because it's fascinating. It's a masterclass every time.
Agreed. And our fans in the chat are confirming that, and I totally forgot now, Ira from Breaking Bad. So there you go.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry I forgot his name.
I did too. You get caught up in the moment, right? I mean, I've watched Breaking Bad so many times, I can usually mouth the dialogue, and your shows as well too. Yours with Better Call Saul, but you forget sometimes. You get caught up in the moment. But here's a nice comment from my friend here, Jim Dales in Canada. Here he says, I've seen this a lot. A comment similar to this. So it says a lot about this show. Jim Dales says, I really liked your comedic performance on the show Whitney. Would hosting a comedic show like Saturday Night Live appeal to you, or even a comedy sketch spoof of Better Call Saul?
Who's this from, Jim?
Yeah, from Jim Dales, yeah.
Okay, Jim, do you work for SNL? Because I will be there. I'll be there. I will walk there because none of us can get on planes. I will walk there and probably, I don't know, I'll be there by, what do we think, June 8th? I don't know, but yeah, I would host. I did improv a little tiny bit when I was in college and just out of college, and did a lot of comedy, came from comedy, did a lot of sitcoms, loved Whitney. I did a bunch of sitcoms no one's ever seen because they weren't picked up, but I would love to host that stuff and do sketch stuff. Bob Odenkirk does a charity improv event with the show, which is Albuquerque's incredible improv troupe, and they're so good. And he does a 2-hour, usually at the Chemo Theater there, charity event, and the cast gets to be involved. And I'm always like, how many games can I be in? So I would love it. I would do more of it in a heartbeat.
I think you would do incredibly well. I mean, you're like a chameleon. You fit into anything and you adapt to it. But I think it could be really taken to the next level. We'll have an uptight Kim, and I think they would really push that. And I just with the comedic spins they would do with it. Like again, Star Wars. I hate this to be a Star Wars episode tonight, but Kylo Ren, when he did, he did the what is it, like the boss, like the hidden boss, what they call it, undercover boss, and Kylo Ren's on there, and he's
it's undercover boss.
Yeah,
yes.
Right. So he did a spoof on that. Oh my God, was it funny? So I would love to see that. So I know Lauren Michaels probably would never see the show in a million years, but everyone tweet out to Lauren Michaels. And
you never know.
Yeah, that'd be something. But there's another comment
here.
Well,
I mean, we got to do a little bit of it with Ariel Levine wrote, we always do these behind the scenes training video things. And so I did get to be a little bit, it was very fun doing Kim. And if you guys haven't seen them, even if I wasn't in them, I'd tell you to watch them. We did the Pollos Hermanos employee training video with Giancarlo Esposito. And then we did Jonathan Banks doing Mike Ehrmantraut's security training video. And then mine is Kim Wexler's ethics training video. And there's 10 parts. Each of them is, under 5 minutes or something. But I did get that chance to do a little bit of a send up of Kim and how tightly wound she is and how controlling she is. But we also got to have some fun deciding with the director, Dan, like, do we think Kim's a good performer? Does she like a camera being on her? And we all decided no. She's very weirded out by that.
No, they're a good series for sure. There's been so many comedic, not just that thing that you guys have done, but some other little things as well too. Like Patrick did that one. It wasn't a cartoon; it was a real sketch. But basically, how to sell that interview, right? And have that bring that Charlie Hustle and all that kind of stuff. It's so funny, and it just fans that like these shows, like everything in the Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul universe. Everything that we can get, we'll take it. Like, give us something, we want it, right?
That's nice.
Yeah. So it's fun, and it does paint another picture for you and lets you kind of get outside of the regular character as well too. Here's another nice comment from Glazy Gardner says, "Hate Mail was fantastic. You and Paula Tompkins were amazing. Do you have plans to do any more plays like that?"
Oh, thanks, Glazy Gardner. You're always so kind on Twitter to me and the show. Hate Mail was so much fun, written by Bill Corbett and Kara Obolensky. And we just did a live reading as a benefit recently. And I know a lot of people are trying to do live performances in live theater and stuff on Zoom and other platforms right now. What was exciting about that one is it is two people reading from letters. So it lent itself to the medium. You weren't kind of searching for, what am I missing from the performance? Why does it feel like I'm in a vacuum? It lent itself very well to what it would have been staging wise anyway. And it's a very sharply, fantastically written play. And Paula Tompkins, whatever I can do to perform with Paul, I do. I just did Thrilling Adventure with that hour with him as well. So if anybody hasn't seen those are still streaming for a rental fee. That's also for charity. So yes, I would do more in a minute, and I'm getting ready to do some more with a couple of playwrights. I'm trying to think if I'm allowed to say their names. Some extremely well-known playwrights, but I'm not allowed to announce their stuff. But everyone's trying to figure out a way how to do storytelling right now, and you have to be careful. Like there's an overload of performances out there, and it's like, well, let's take it. We've all got some time on our hands, so let's take it a step past that and start asking ourselves, like, what actually translates? What can we use this medium for? It's the same thing that I don't really like when a movie is just put on stage or a play is just put on film.
Yeah.
Without somebody thinking about what does that medium do well? Because none of them are better than the other. TV's not better or worse than film. Film is not better or worse than a play. And round and round and round. And radio is not worse or less than or better. If you write something for radio, short stories are not better than long stories. I just had this conversation with somebody earlier. A perfectly written short story is incredibly difficult. So is a perfect film short.
Sure.
So I kind of am interested in talking to a lot of playwrights and other people about and I don't know the answers. I'm just excited to talk to people that do, of how do we deal with the medium that we're in right now? How do we deal with only close-ups? Or could I stand over there and it would be of any effect to people? Comic timing. And I'm glad that Blazy Gardner liked Hate Mail, but that was, Paul and I had to talk about how do you deal with the comic timing, because Zoom has a slight delay.
Yeah.
If you overlap, it will mute one of you. So what are we doing with that? Yeah, what are we doing with that energy? What would translate? Should it be audio only? Should it be just an oral experience? I just watched The Encounter. I'm embarrassed to say that I'm forgetting the director playwright. New York Times has featured it twice. I should look it up while I'm on here. But he did it on Broadway and off Broadway, and it is an oral experience, but it's binaural. He used microphones on one of those heads.
Yep.
That is capturing left, right, and you have to watch it with your headphones on left and right. And you get surround sound, but he also is doing distance. He's doing
nice.
Atmospheric. And if you haven't seen it, you should watch it. I watched it today. It's streaming until the 25th. If you put in The Encounter, what is the name of the theater? The Current Theater?
Okay.
Is doing it. I'm so sorry. I'm butchering all of this, but still, you should go. And they filmed it before we were in this situation, but is definitely something that's of interest to me. And I think anybody that's trying to, a sound technician, music lover like yourself, and anyone else that's trying to create medium and content right now, it's hyper aware of creating a world when you cannot. It's just a dude in a t-shirt on a black box stage.
Wow.
Telling an entire story for 2 hours, and you are transported. And you are even eerily freaked out. When he's testing the mics at the beginning, he says something like, I just want to test everyone's microphones and headphones. Sorry, headphones, not microphones.
Yeah.
So I'm in your right ear now. Do you hear me on the right side? And then he says something like, and now I'm traveling through your brain. And he does a mid mic.
Oh, man.
And he says, now I'm traveling through your brain in this electric matter that we think of as brain mass. And now I'm on your left. And you literally are like, ugh.
Can you imagine if you had a sound of a mosquito or a fly going through, you'd be like going.
He has a scene with a mosquito.
Oh, no way.
And
okay.
it's like,
yeah.
And I'm sitting, in my garage, which is also my painting studio, listening to this, and I was just utterly transported. So that's, with all the dismal awfulness that's happening with COVID-19. I am excited about what artists and musicians and writers and technicians are going to do. And I'm excited by, like we talked about, like the restaurant business. And there's so many smart, innovative people in every sector that we're going to figure it out. We just need everyone else to follow whatever the rules are they say.
Exactly.
Whatever you do. I don't care if you tell me I have to wear a tennis shoe on my head to go in Home Depot. I can put a tennis shoe on my head.
Sure.
It's totally fine.
Exactly. Follow protocols. And I think there's always good in something. I mean, I try to find the good in everything. And even with the situation we have right now, how it's forced all of us to adapt, like you said, from musicians to actors to, to radio play writers. I mean, television writers, everything. We've all had to adapt. And I never even thought about it earlier when you mentioned about the writer's room being virtually online. Now, that's very cool in itself. But in a moment here, we have 3 clips. I'm keeping an eye on the time too, because we've only got you until 10 o'clock here Eastern Standard Time. So we're still doing pretty good on time. Okay. I've got 3 clips that AMC provided us. They're short. They're around anywhere from 30 seconds to about 2 minutes each. So we'll play some of those, and I'll get some commentary, basically from a fan yourself looking outside of the show, and then maybe Kim's commentary on maybe the particular scene. But before we get into that, this was kind of funny. When Patrick was on the show, he said you guys text back and forth a lot and are kind of like, hey, look, I survived another. I wasn't killed off in this script, whatever. And so that's obviously a good thing. It's a good day when you're reading, oh, yeah, okay, finale, we're done. Kim's alive. But on a lot of shows like Walking Dead, there's like the death call. And does that happen in your universe? Like, are the actors called?
What's that? Is the death call when the showrunner calls you to say you're off?
Yeah. Hey, guess what? Die? Yeah, guess what? You're dead. And you're like, oh, wonderful. Like, in some of the actors have actually been driving in their car, and they'll say, can you pull over? Are you driving? Can you pull over? And then they know they're in trouble. But does that happen in your world? I'm not talking about Kim herself, but I mean other characters that have been taken off.
Peter Gould and Vince Gilligan are so respectful, and it sounds like on Walking Dead they are as well. They're so respectful of the actors that as soon as they don't write a Bible or secure the entire season, let alone the whole series, in cement prior to shooting it. So you would never be told, hey, in season 3 you're going to die, because they kind of follow. They have an architecture of what they're planning. As far as I know, you'd have to ask them. I could be wrong. I don't want to speak for them, but I've been told from them, they have an architecture of what they're planning, some mileposts they need to hit for stuff they're doing, but they are responding to performance and what's happening in real time a little bit, and enough that they can't tell you, hey, episode 7, you have a car crash. They can't tell you, hey, episode 9, you guys get married, because they don't. Vince used to say to me all the time, he doesn't think plot should dictate character should dictate plot. And Peter has said very similar things to me as well. So when they decide, like Michael McKean's death, I want to say that was maybe 2 to 3 episodes before it happened that they decided that because that could have been a thing where you think he dies, but he actually lives. It could have been a thing where he burns his house down and survives, terribly handicapped by the experience, physically and mentally. And so it wasn't until they made the decision that no, he does die, that they went and told him. And yeah, it's a phone call that you don't want to get, because it's the best group of people I've ever worked with.
Right.
That being said, yeah, when I saw the car crash scene, I was like, someone not telling me something?
I know.
Am I dying in this one?
That's in season 3. I mean, it could have been the end. I mean, it would have been a real shame to have her go that soon. But my son and I were talking about it today. He's 14. He loves the show, all the series, Breaking Bad and everything as well, too. But that could have been her exit. And that was a pretty shocking thing. Like you said, with your husband seeing that the first time, too, very, very emotional for him, I'm sure. Yes.
Also, the way they edited it was just astonishing. It was Peter told me from the beginning when we were going to do that scene, Peter Gould said, I was talking about like, how sore is she, what's broken, what should I act, what actually happens, there's the burns from the airbags, all of this. And I was like asking him what's broken and what's happening so that I can play it realistically for what we do afterwards. And he explained it to me, and he said, but honestly, it's psychologically tragic far more than it's physically a disaster. And when I saw the editing, I thought it's disturbing. I was able to watch even my own goofy self and say, it is disturbing, because we've all been there where you are so tired or so stressed out that you lose time.
Yeah.
And it isn't necessarily about falling asleep. It's just, you don't know where you were. You don't know where you were for a second. And then the larger question when she steps out and all those papers are flying everywhere is, it isn't just, I don't know where I was for a second. I don't know where I am now.
Yeah,
like large picture.
Yeah. That was a great scene. And it sounds to me like Kim had PTSD before Jimmy did with his traumatic thing out in the desert there. So you got to experience, or she got to experience it. And, Jimmy did as well, too. So very, very crazy. Here's another question, a fan question. Then we're going to jump over to a clip. Justine, it's either Justine or Justin. I think it's Justine Browning asks, how was it to this season to portray Kim's decision to get in the game, so to speak, and where do you see that taking the story for season 6? Very good question.
How was it to see that?
Yeah, or ask how was it this season to portray Kim's decision? So basically, Kim now makes that decision to to get into the game. How was it to portray that or to play that role?
The way we do the show, you only get the script you have. And so I didn't know the finale when I was playing each of these episodes. What I saw, what I felt in the writing, beginning from the very first episode of the entire series, is there is some sort of suppressed pain or secret going on. I don't know exactly what it is. And as we moved further, the first time she does a con, which I think is in 201, I asked them, I said, she's reluctantly participating, but then when she participates, she seems pretty good at it, text-wise. So are we playing it that way, or is it stammering? And Tom Schnauz, who wrote and directed that one, said, I feel like Kim is good at whatever she decides to do. And I said, me too. So then I was like, okay, here's a new puzzle piece. She seems to be good at this stuff that she pretends to be or denounces and says she's repelled by. But I always thought she came from some kind of damaged background and something was going on. There was some kind of avoidance of chaos going on. And I wasn't sure if the chaos was coming from outside her or from inside of her or both. But this extreme control that she has felt like a salve to some ache, to some wound. And as I went through season 5, it felt more and more like this darkness is looming large in her. And that question that the show raises so much, innate versus innate, and intrinsic qualities versus extrinsic qualities in a person or properties. What was there before? Is something coming out in her that was always there, or is she transforming into something based on the circumstances? And that's really the question of the entire series to me, is who would Jimmy have been if he never had the brother Chuck? Right. Who would he have been if he never met me? Who would I be if I never met them? These are questions we can all go round and round and round on in our own life. You cannot separate who you are from the experiences and the people you've been around. Collectively, I felt like a darkness was creeping up on her. And then when I saw the finale, I was excited, but also very scared to undersell or oversell it. So I had a lot of conversations with Peter Gould and Ariel Levine, who wrote it, and then Peter as my director on it, of how much ambiguity is there? How much certainty does Kim feel versus what we want the audience to feel? And where's that line? And what is she playing with Jimmy? Because we see at this point, and we've seen it for 5 seasons, she detests being told how to feel about things. Mm-hmm. She detests being told what her morals are and what she's capable of. And we ended last season, the season before, season 4, with Jimmy having this whole new persona and just saying, like, too bad, there's a third party in our relationship, suck it. And she's just supposed to, like, deal with it, and does with the whole season. And so there was also this gamesmanship that is also a little bit sinister that she's doing in that moment of, really? You have another persona? So do I. You think I don't know you? You don't know me. What is the complete authentic truth in season 6, which is the second part of that question? Mm-hmm. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I'm very excited because I don't think it's a black and white answer.
I can imagine. Yeah, and we'll if we have time permits, we'll address some of that a little bit. We're not going to ask you things, as you just said, you don't know, but we'll have some fan theories and maybe your theory, because you're a fan as well of the show.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
also, if we come back after this clip, after you answer this as well too, Beat the Book has a really good question as well too for you, so I'll ask that. So in this clip, this is where, and you'll hear the clip. You won't get to see it, but you'll hear it. You'll recognize the clip, but the audience will see the clip.
Okay.
And this is where Jimmy's apologizing after the Mesa Verde debacle. And in my opinion, I think this shows how Kim can be so unpredictable. Like Kim's like a magician with sleight of hand. Like, watch this, and then over here, something happens over here because you're expecting this, and then Kim just comes like a totally different angle. So what I'm going to ask you while you hear this clip again, and I know you know it off heart because you've done these scenes so many times. My question will be, what do you think was in Kim's mind to what was her reasoning for making the decision that she did, or the offer she made to Jimmy? So we're going to roll that clip right now, and we'll be right back. Here goes.
Okay, Kim, look, I said I was sorry. And again, it worked. No way that Rich or Paige could believe that we were in cahoots, because guess what? We weren't. Acker gets to keep his home, plus a nice chunk of change. Olivia Bitsui gets reparations for being cheated. And Kevin still gets his call center. Everybody wins.
You win, Jimmy.
What?
You win.
Yeah. But, I mean, well, we win. Us.
No, I didn't.
What didn't you get that you wanted?
I don't trust you.
Why?
You played me. You made me the sucker. Again.
Again? What? Wait, how can you be the sucker? It was your plan.
Oh, fuck you, Jimmy. God. You know what? I can't do this anymore.
Kim, I was just...
No, you turned you and me versus the bank into you versus me. And it is not just this. It's the same thing over and over again.
No, I kept things from you to protect you. Look, if I got caught and, God forbid, you're questioned under oath, you have plausible deniability.
Jesus, Jimmy. You can excuse stabbing me in the back by making it about protecting me? Is that really supposed to justify everything?
Okay, Kim, I'm sorry. All right? It will never happen again.
That's a lie.
Well, I swear, it won't.
Look me in the eye and tell me it'll never happen again. You can't. I don't believe you. You don't believe yourself. It is a lie. You lie. I lie. This has to end. I cannot keep living like this.
No.
Jimmy,
we can
shut up.
fix this.
Jimmy. You know this has to change. If you don't see it, I don't know what to say because we are at a breaking point.
God.
Either we end this now, and enjoy the time we had and go our separate ways, or we're...
Or what?
Or maybe... Maybe we get married.
All right, that was the longest of 3 clips, but the other ones are really short. But that was a very, very powerful scene. I mean, I've seen that probably about 6 times, and I still feel it. I still get the goosebumps. I'm not going to lie. I got goosebumps right now. It's very, very powerful, very believable. But what was, in your mind, the fan of the show, looking outside in, what was Kim's concept of proposing that to Jimmy?
You know, I had to talk through it a lot with Bob, and I rehearsed it at length and rehearsed with Michael Morris, our director, and Tom Schnauz wrote that scene because it's such a major shift that happens, and we didn't want it to be cheap. We didn't want it to be just a gimmick to go out on to commercial. We didn't want it to be sentimental. So what is it? What's happening in that moment? And to me, the key was, because in that scene, the whole first third of it, she is brutally silent. I mean, she barely speaks words, and he's like, "How'd it go?" Blah, 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 blah. And I took that and I talked to Michael and Tom, and I said, for me, I don't want to, you never want to, as an actor, you never want to play the end of a scene anyway. But this was one where, in order to not look overly manipulating with that twist at the end, you have to really invest in everything that's going on up to that minute. And not just as an actor knowing like, because I got a dagger at the end, wait till you see what happens. It needs to happen in real time. And for me, that meant she comes home and actually, and we've all been there when you're in a big fight with someone that you love. I actually think she hopes that he was just out. For some reason, he's selling phones in the parking lot all night, because if I have to see your big stupid face tonight, I'm going to punch you and then I'm going to dump you immediately. So she doesn't even want to see him. She comes up. He's not sorry at all. He's actually playing the guitar and celebrating. So I'm going to get undressed. I'm going to get a glass of wine. I'm going to go to bed. I can't. And he won't stop. And Bob and I talked about this because I understand Bob's side too. And sadly, I've been on that side of the fence as well, where you're like, I know I super fucked up and the person's going to be really mad. And I'm wondering, like, is there a way I could make it not that big of a deal?
Yeah.
Like,
what can I do?
Can I? So he's doing that. And for me, it was just about, how do you keep the train of thought? And again, we've all been there, that the authenticity of saying what you're capable of saying on the outside. And for Kim, she's very controlled and does not like to lose control. And she knows if we have this conversation, we're breaking up. That's first third going to second third is don't have this conversation, don't have this conversation, don't have this conversation. Now all of a sudden, you force me. We're having this conversation, we're having this conversation, we're having this conversation. And she starts debating the facts. And I feel that Kim, we see it when she confronts Lalo as well. Kim actually does not sit in uncomfortable emotions well at all. Jimmy is, and I love that for me, those stereotypes are flipped. He is the more emotional one. He wants to talk about his emotions and feel them and sit in them. Kim is very pragmatic, project-oriented, problem solution, let's go. And so when she gets to that place in the heart of the middle of that scene, with this very messy emotional crap that has no real solution without there being tremendous pain, she switches to lawyer mode, to pragmatic mode, to contract mode, because she, with, I think, a problematic at times outsized ego, thinks that she can work herself out of any problem. It got her in a car wreck. It gets her almost shot. It takes her to see Lalo in the jail. It is part of her relationship with Jimmy. It's her ego to think that she can compartmentalize and intellectualize and outsmart any emotional problem. And so that's what I let that shift be, is I can't do this. I can't sit in the burning ball that's happening in my chest. And she's not consciously doing this, but her brain goes to a client. How do we win? How do we win in court? You can't testify against each other. Yeah. And I wasn't being that specific in that moment because I didn't even have the next episode, but I understood that something in her thinks, how do you stay together and stop the lying? I need you to stop lying to me. Mm-hmm. I need us to be able to tell each other the whole truth and still go to bed thinking that I'm on the moral high ground, which is a dangerous thing to be thinking at this point for her. But she's still doing that. She's still doing that and compartmentalizing herself into this teeny tiny corner where marrying him makes it okay.
That's great. I mean, what a fantastic answer. And we have 5 minutes left, so I'm going to do this really fast. I'm going to pull editor mode now. I'm going to pull out one of the clips, and I'm going to play a better one that's more dramatic. So after we play this clip, we're going to do a question from Danielle, a question from Beat the Book, and we're going to wrap up, get you off to your next, or just your evening for that matter, whatever else you have to go to do. But in this clip, this is very emotional as well too, where Jimmy asks you if he's bad for you, and we'll get your take on that. Okay, so we'll roll that one right now. Here we go.
How are your shoulders? Should I put something on them, or would that just make it worse?
I think I'm, Am I bad for you?
Are you bad for me?
I got you into this. What happened tonight? None of this would have happened if you weren't with me.
You crossed a line. You're not going to do it again.
Yeah.
And there we go. So that was pretty powerful in itself as well too. Every shot, every cinematic little glimpse we get into the world of their relationship is so. Is Kim right for Jimmy? Is Jimmy not good enough for Kim? Are they the perfect couple? I mean, where do they sit in the world of couples? What would you say?
I think it is should be celebrated that it's not possible to answer that. Like, it's that, I mean, that's part of what the show is about, is like, what is your effect on other people and who are you authentically? Like I was saying earlier, the pain that you hear in that scene throughout that was important to Bob and I, and Peter Gould certainly supported it, was that they're at a place now 5 seasons in where this talking in code is also about, he's saying, I'm going to break up with you.
Mm-hmm.
We should end this. And Kim does not want that. And yeah, there's a lot of defensiveness about, like, don't tell me what's good for me. I think she loathes being told, I'm bad for you. She makes her own decisions.
Right,
it's ridiculous. Right. And we see that in her blow up with Howard. That's before this scene in this episode, in the finale episode. But there's pain now. There's real love there now.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think Kim is only her real self. And now we're seeing even more real selves of her with Jimmy. There is no one else she takes the ponytail out and the dagger earrings off and the tailored suit off in front of, and I think she's afraid to lose that space in the world to have anyone see her for real. There's so many dynamics going on in that scene. It was a very difficult scene. We rehearsed it, and the writers are so great at, they write these scenes, and I think they're rewarding to the audience. They're rewarding to me as an actor. They're rewarding to me as a fan when I watch them. Whereas the arc is never like this. It isn't you're going from point A to point B and you understand what the scene's going to be a third in. It's a windy, twisty tale that I think makes for a really authentic relationship and a really authentic human experience for people to watch. I felt that there was so much pain in that last scene, and bravado comes out of it, and you see this other side of Kim, but there's so much pain laced through the beginning.
Agreed. Okay, so we have 1 minute left here. If you can try to answer these 2 questions, you can very short answers. So Daniel,
if it takes 5, I'll do it. I'm quite verbose.
Okay, no problem. I just want to respect your time greatly this evening. Daniel says, and that Paul Roos kind of touched on this subject a little bit as well too over in the chat. Daniel says, what do you think of seeing the flashback of young Kim?
I thought it was fantastic. I didn't see it coming. I didn't know they were going to do it, but I did. And this doesn't make me like a sensei, but I, doing my own backstory back when I had less to hang my hat on, I thought she was raised by an alcoholic from episode 1, because there is an intimate relationship with Jimmy. He's taking cigarettes in and out of my mouth. We've known each other for a long time. I have extreme boundaries about, he says, couldn't you just? I say, I can't. And that's about work. And she seems attracted to and repulsed by chaos. And then she fixes the trash can he kicked without even looking. and goes in the elevator. And I was like, oh, you're raised by an addict. Just that idea of cleaning up other people's messes, needing to be in control, and how controlled she is also spoke to me about someone that's usually in response to something. Okay. And it's something that I carried around with me. I never talked to the writers about it, but by the time they showed Kim's mom, and how great was the actress playing my mom, and the it's Beth playing my mom, and damn it, it's a 2-part name for the daughter. We have to look it up. They were so fantastic, and the mom actually studied me, and so did the daughter. Studied me on the show to have some of my vocal inflections and some of my physical affectations. Nice. And I just thought they were brilliant. And Peter said something to me really smart when we were doing that flashback. He said, you always have to be careful with a fantastically enigmatic character that you don't answer too many questions.
Right.
And I thought it was so smart, because people kept saying, why don't we know her whole backstory? And I don't know where she's from and exactly what happened. Look, who's the guy at Hinky Dinky? What's going on? And he's right. You can't answer too many questions, or you're not really rewarding your audience for thinking anymore.
Exactly. Yeah. There's nothing left. There's nothing left to guess. Well, thank you for answering that question. And this is the last one. And this is more of an artistic question for you. Beat the Book asks, so do you have a painting studio? Is there a way we can see your work, or is that more of a private part of your creative side?
What do I have here? Hang on.
No problem.
I sculpt kind of weird, sad children. I actually showed these on Friday night at the Morgans. This is one of them. They're made out of puppetry clay, and then I paint them. And then I've been doing acrylic painting for a while, because I haven't had a studio or the time to leave things wet and have fumes. But I thought, well, I do now. So this is my first, I've got one more pass at it. This is not done, but this is my first oil painting in 20 years. Wow. So yeah, I got to do like a little more detail on it. But yeah, maybe I'll post some of these, because I've had a couple people interested in what artwork I'm doing. My father and grandmother were painters, so I just grew up with it my whole life.
Now, do you sell some as well too?
No, I used to. I sold a lot of the Above Kim Wexler's Bed is a series of 6 bird paintings that are layered birds inside of collages that are also painted with pieces. I used to buy the contents of the junk drawer at estate sales. Like people that had passed away, I just buy their junk drawer, because it's crazy what people have in there. And then I would embed them in varnish and put paintings of birds inside of the varnish.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, there's 6 of them above Kim Wexler's bed, and those are mine. And I've sold probably 12 of those. And I've sold sculptures and paintings, and large scale figurative paintings. I used to sell. It's a little harder now, because I'm like, I don't know how I could ship it, or like, do I just put my address on it?
Yeah, I know. I hear you on that. But no, that's cool. I'm glad they asked that question, because we get another look at some of your stuff as well too. And we'll look forward to maybe seeing some of those posts on social media. But listen, I want to let you get out of here. I'm very, very thankful for your time. And also this weekend as well too, for our American counterparts over there. Have a safe Memorial weekend. And thank you to all those that have and continue to serve, so we can have freedoms like this, to be able to have some fun on an internet show and just talk. And, it's quite the luxury. So thank you so very much from the bottom of my heart.
Here.
I'm only drinking water. I'm pretty plain tonight, but I'm going to have a beer after the show and celebrate. It was a lot of fun. And thank you so much. And we'll look forward to, when everything is safe, we're back out there, looking forward to seeing Kim return to Better Call Saul season 6. So I'll say goodbye to you off the air. And everyone, be safe out there this weekend. We're live again over a Sunday on the Helix Hour, 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific, with our good friend Chris Robertson from Blackstone Cherry. We'll look forward to seeing you there. And everyone, until then, cheers.
Hey, you're still here? Eric Jr. here, reminding you to check out our full lineup of quality merch. Available right now in the Broadstash Boutique. Quality products and fast shipping. Visit broadstash.com today.
Video production services for Rock Shop Live are provided by Design 39 Media. Visit design39media.com for all your website, photography, and video production needs. Microphones for Rock Shop Live are provided by Rode Microphones.